Don Szabo, I Should Be Dead, for the book. Take one.
And once again, it's not called I Should Be Dead for nothing, because there's literally a handful of times in the book that shows I should be dead. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to my world. Like I say, there's a lot of history and memories over there on that little statue, but coming in here, I mean, old skateboard days, Ray Bones, and even a snowboard shot where I'm doing a backflip. This is a border cross course, but I just threw in extra bonus points for throwing a backflip. These are my old snowboard models. Actually, that's starting with the first one, and the next one, the Skull Spider, and those are horizontal laminated wood boards. So I don't know if you can see, they're made like a skateboard though. It doesn't even have any taper and camber. Super Z board, that was my own brand that I did towards the end. This is all from the late 80s to the late 90s. Yeah, this is my rocker board, Blair Szabo logo, except mine's a right side up star. It's not upside down. Yeah, and then that's some awesome stuff from Tahiti and Hawaii. Had my money board. King board was one of the most popular, I would say. Me as a king, what do you think? Sold thousands and thousands of those boards back in those mid-90s. Yeah, and then here's a little sign that I'll be having out in front of my house. Eras of skateboarding and snowboarding and motocross and mountain bike and surfing. That's the basic book. That is awesome. Inside and out, guaranteed. 180 photos that take you through a journey of all kinds of just different sports and different crazy stories. And once again, it's not called I Should Be Dead for nothing, because there's literally a handful of times in the book that shows I should be dead. That's a complicated question, buddy, but there's multiple reasons in the book, and going from the heart attack, which is the cover shot, where I had a 98% block instead of 100% block, and obviously that 2% helped keep me on this side of the dirt. And there's multiple other examples in the book, but the heaviest one, and the reason this thing is coming out November 3rd, is not just a physical hurt, but emotional when losing my wife. And straight up, you'll see that I tried to take myself out. I didn't want to be in this world anymore. My partner was gone. My kids were better off in the neighbor house that said that they'd take care of my daughters, and now they had 2 new sisters and aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews, not just a single lonely dad that said, hey, they're better off. I've had a good run, been able to travel the world, riding my snowboard, and I guess this is what I get towards the end of my life, so I'm out of here. Everybody be better. Luckily, I woke up 2.5 days later and got a new lease on life, and set the mindset thing in motion and really learned how to think properly, because I'm sure the Prozac and no sleep and sleeping pills and everything that just made me just a haze mess for months and with no end in sight didn't help. But these are the things that I'd like to share with people and let them know that if you're in a bad place, you gotta just keep on going. I didn't want to keep going, and now I know that's obviously the wrong way to think. So you need to keep moving. Life changes, you need to adapt, and I've had a lot of things happen since then. But now, since I've been going to this mindset event in Arizona and staying in touch with Michael Burnoff through phone calls and online, as well as going to these events annually, say for 10 years. Mindset is very important, and I've laid out, even in the book, there's a chapter called Mindset Matters, and it lays out bullet points of how to think and what to do and people to follow. I'd get on the internet occasionally, and I came across Tony Robbins first, and that, gave me a glimpse into the mindset thing. And one thing in particular, I remember him saying, when you think about what you're grateful for, you can't think about the negative things that are going on in your life. So that was really powerful. And then I came across Michael Burnoff, who's just in Arizona, next state over, and really gravitated towards him. And I even did a course. It was a phone course for a 5-day. A few hundred people were on the phone with him, and it gave me some wows with mindset, going, wow, that's definitely the way to think and what to do. And then when I learned about his live event in Scottsdale, Arizona, I said, I gotta go. So I went to Scottsdale, and crazy how it happened, time-wise, Heather had her seizure the day before Easter, 2015. And he called 911, but she was literally gone. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't there anymore. People came and gave her their last goodbyes, and 2 weeks later, I was in Arizona for the mindset event, and it really helped with, my mindset. Well, I remember one thing in particular, and that was, for some reason, he asked, I don't even remember the question, this is over 10 years ago, but I raised my hand and he said, come on up on stage. So I was up on stage in front of 300 or 400 people, and he was asking me how I'm doing with my wife being gone now. And I said, I'm not doing that great. And she was my partner and love of my life and my soulmate, and she's gone, and life seems like it's going to hell, and maybe it will. But he actually told me some things to reframe how I think about how things are, and that my story's not over. Well, it starts with my early days when my dad gave me my first skateboard at 9 years old, and I was sponsored by 12, and skateboarding was my world in the 80s. So I skated every day and ended up having a mentor. That's another thing that's important, but Shred Euripus, who was only 5 years older than me, but when you're 12 and he's 17 and able to drive me to San Diego, to Santa Barbara, you think he's a way bigger, older cat, but anyway, he was also a pro skateboarder at the time, and anyway, he was my mentor. It got me into that, and then goes into snowboarding, because snowboarding became my job after skateboarding. And yeah, I went and won a skateboard contest because my dad told me, you're going to need to get a real job at some point, right, son? And I said, no, just go be a pro skater. So I entered 1987 Life's a Beach Hell Week contest, and like I say, ended up on the podium in the pro division and beat guys like Danny Way and Gator, and not Hosoi or Hawk, those guys weren't in that, but I was moving forward towards being a pro skateboarder. And then I hooked up with Sonny Miller doing photo shoots, and he talked about snowboarding. I'm like, yeah, I do that too, I love snowboarding. We went up snowboarding, and he was just blown away at the way I could, do backflips, which in 1987, people weren't doing, 40-foot backflips and skateboard style snowboarding. So he talked to my team manager, Life's a Beach team manager at the time, Jamie Mossberg, and they got the word to Airwalk and JT that also picked me up from that skateboard contest, from showing up and out of nowhere being on the podium. And they said, hey, we got enough skateboard pros, we'll pay you to be a pro snowboarder. So I started in 1987, and through late 90s, I was able to be a pro snowboarder until motocross bug bit me, and Seth Enslow called me out to go riding moto at the 2-month mark instead of the 4-month mark, and blew my shoulder apart that needed 3 repairs, and took me out for 2 snowboard seasons. So I had to throw another little life change and shift and move forward in a different direction. And without doing that, though, I wouldn't have met Heather, because otherwise I wouldn't have been jogging my dogs down at the beach. I wouldn't have had my print shop at the time that I ran for over 16 years. And so life is just not what you always think, and you need to adapt and make the best of it. Skateboarding, I used to skateboard at Lance Mountain's house and at Christian Assoy's ramp later as well. And crossed paths with Tony Hawk, and Ray Bones, my skateboards that I just happen to have over there. I reconnected with him. Snowboarding, I mean, tons of guys, Damian Sanders and Steve Graham. Did a lot of riding with those guys. And Tom Burt, Andy Hetzel, Matt Goodman, and Sean Farmer, and whatever, tons of guys from the early era. And surfing, Nathan Fletcher, the Fletchers, which Christian Fletcher, Nathan Fletcher, Herbie Fletcher, their dad, was the owner of Astrodeck, and now even those kids have kids themselves that are carrying the tradition of action sports on forward. And Grayson Fletcher, I'm sure you know, is an insane skateboarder. That's Christian's son. That's nuts. And whatever, motocross, I mean, I even used to ride with Metzger and Deegan, Feist and Carey Hart, and I even was an X Games judge, so I got to judge those guys and judged Travis Pastrana as well and rode with him. In fact, I went riding moto before he was able to become a pro. Before you're 16, you can't go race pro. So I'm in the hills shooting the Crusty Demons of Dirt movies. That was after the Creatures of Habit movies that I filmed with for snowboarding for 5 years. And this little kid was such a badass on a dirt bike. And I go, anything that little kid can do, I'm gonna do, because this little 14-year-old kid, so it got me jumping like 100-foot doubles out in Beaumont and like 3-story high step downs over, double wide road gaps. And little did I know that this is now gonna be one of the best motocross freestyle riders in the world. But when he was 14, and I was just figuring, if this little kid can do it, so can I. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, once you gotta just have the love for it and know that you love to do it, know that you can do it, and make it happen. Writing a book, that's no small task, buddy. I mean, this is 69,000 words of gold, and it all ties in with each other from the front to the back, and 180 photos that tell the journey, and crazy stories, and multiple times that I should be dead, literally. I want to be able to share it with people, and not only will they have entertainment, but also gain some value from it for sure. Well, I want them to have the knowledge to know that no matter what life throws at you, that you can deal with it. And even if you think that there's no path forward, that there is always a path forward, and you will get through it, and life will be good again. So just keep moving and make things happen, and you'll be back.
Beautiful. Thank you, Don Szabo. I Should Be Dead, The Life of Z. Go pick it up in stores now.